So it now looks like it's been confirmed that Pep Chavarria will sign for Chelsea. The final deal in the end is 19 million plus 2 million add-ons. Now I think that's a really good deal we've done there. They had a 42 million release clause that they wanted close to, and every bid we was putting in seemingly before every offer, it seems like they wanted that they was not entertaining it. They was only they wanted to hold out for as close to around the 40 million mark as they could get. But it looked like we had walked away from this move, but we've come back in this week, and it seems like now it's over the line. We've been given the here we go last night, and it looks like Chavarria will travel to England today to complete his medical and be announced as a Chelsea player. So yeah, it's bit of a weird one how it's all panned out. It seemed like it was going one way, then there's been a bit of a twist this week. It does sometimes happen though. So yeah, 19 million plus only 2 million add-ons. When I heard earlier in the week that we looked like we'd agreed 19 million plus add-ons, I was expecting a lot more on the add-ons than only 2 million, seeing as what they was initially asking for. But it seems like we've got the deal over the line now. The players happy with the terms and everything as well. So I think it could prove to be quite a good transfer. Some people maybe not quite so convinced, but I do think this is a player that could potentially be quite good. 28 years of age, a bit more experience than what we've got in that back line at the moment. Of course, Vallecano had a very good season last year. Up in and amongst the European race in La Liga, also made Europa Conference League final as well. So I think overall, and you know and they had a successful season. And he was a very important player for them. So as someone else he valued highly. So I think there's definitely something there. He's another option for the left side, his left back. We needed someone else to come in at left back. We've got that now. Gives us another option. Gives us and he also crucially with him as well. He can play left back and left wing back as well. So Alonso, we might want to play two different systems next year by the looks of things. We've seen him do various setups in the pre-season so far. He's done 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2. But there's also a lot of talks that he could go to the back three, which was his preferred formation at previous roles. And if we're going to do that, we need wing back options, and that is what I would say is Reece James' best position as well on the other side. Of course, we've got someone like Palestra that can play both sides well. We've just brought in, so I think we've got options here now, and I think that's what we needed. And I think as much as I would have loved Lewis Hall back, this is not even half the price of what Lewis Hall would cost. I'll come to Lewis Hall in a minute when I talk about Man United. But I think for this position, this is a player that I think's definitely got something to offer, and I think it's on the cheaper side as well. It was a lot cheaper than what it could have been, and a lot cheaper to other alternatives as well. So I think could work out to be a good signing. It could prove to be more good business from us, and I think overall we've been very good with our transfer business so far. The goalkeeping situation is frustrating me. I really want us to just properly go in. All the talks are there. Apparently the players keen on the move. The clubs there seem to be some sort of talks there. But Diego Costa, we really need to go in for him. Let's hope that will be the next big bit of news we get, because they prioritise pretty much every opposition but goalkeeper so far. That's what we certainly need to do. But in terms of players going the other way, which is the other news we're hearing at the moment, Enzo, there's a lot of talks now that he could stay. Whether that's because no one wants to pay the sort of money we were asking for, and well, that's probably what it is, because I think Real Madrid was obviously the obvious destination. I think Atletico is, of course, they've come into the mix as well. It looks more likely he could go there now. I think if he goes anywhere, I think. But the only way they could do that would depend on them selling Alvarez and just to raise the funds for it, really. And of course, Arsenal are interested in Alvarez. Now it looks like Vinicius Junior's not heading there. Yeah, I mean, which could come into it, but again, it's all just speculation at this point, really. But we know that Badiashil's been linked with a loan move with an option or potentially obligation to buy to Napoli. Hopefully, an obligation to buy if we try and get that one through. Obviously, Chalobah's already gone. Tosin, there's a lot of talks he could go now. Como were previously interested in him, but then that went quiet. They prioritised Chalobah, solely the Chalobah move. But it's now looking like he could potentially go. We know that, of course, I mean, I'm hoping Akpom, where we said before previously in the window, we're not going to sell him. We turned down a bid for Man United. I really, really hope that nothing comes up in the rest of the window. Akpom's a player I very much want to keep at the club, and someone I think should get a lot more game time next season. Of course, as for Neto, now Neto's another player that looks like he could be on the move. Now, Man City look like front runner at this moment. He's been linked with quite a few places. Liverpool been mentioned. Also, I think it was Al Hilal were mentioned as well, and it would be good for him to go there really. Because I think if he leaves Chelsea now, I think he'll leave on good terms, and I think if he goes abroad, it would be good as well, because then that would ensure that. And I actually think Al Hilal would probably offer the sort of money we'd want for him as well. So I think that's maybe something to look at. I think no less than 60 million, maybe closer to 70 million. I know it's a lot for a player that's inconsistent, but I do think if you look at his age, if you look at level, the type of player he is and what he could potentially do in his career, because I know we've seen he's been one of the better wingers. I wouldn't be against him staying, but I just think at this point, what we can't now guarantee him is Rodgers. Part of his contract is he'll be guaranteed to start on that side, and I think Neto is maybe too good to just be permanently the second choice, permanently on the bench. I think if he goes somewhere else, compete for first team football. Man City, of course, we mentioned. Enzo Maresca does like him, so that could come into play as well. Although, after already breaking records and signing Elliot Anderson, will they want to spend 70 odd million on a player that is inconsistent, but we have seen a player that does divide opinion, but a player that we have seen undeniable quality from in his 2 years at Chelsea? And it just feels like it always feels like we could have seen better of him. But I think if he leaves now, I think he leaves on good terms, and I think it would make sense to cash in now while his value is still very high, and we could get that sort of money for him in today's market. I think that would maybe make sense now, especially with us signing Morgan Rodgers. I think the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, especially with Gittins starting to perform in pre-season, and especially with Mudryk looking like he could be eased back into the team as well. There's been talks about this loan move to Coventry, but I think at this point, I think it's more likely Mudryk stays and we try and integrate him back in, giving him 20 minutes, half hour, giving him game time here and there as and when. And hopefully when those, because I think he does deserve another season, and I think when those chances for him come, let's hope he takes them. Now, that's everything for my club, Chelsea, for today. The last thing I will mention is the lap. There's Leeds still interested. 30 million is what's been is the figure that's been spoken about, and Jackson as well is linked with Spurs and Villa, but it's all at the moment that seems to be in the early stages though to those two deals. But there's certainly players that I think we are going to try and ship out this window, because we've got more options coming in now, so I think that would make sense. Now we know Leeds have signed James Trafford now, 40 million. I think it's a big signing for them, a real show of intent when you think they've already signed. Cannot remember how to pronounce his name at the top of my head, but the Bosnian centre back. They've made some big moves this window, Leeds, and it doesn't look like they're finished. And Trafford's a big signing for them. Not money, 40 million, but big signing for Leeds, and I think shows you their ambition. And I did want to speak now about Man United, because there's a lot of talk about Man United about what they're going to do, what they're not going to do in the remainder of this window. They still look like they're going to have a few big moves left in them. Like us, they want to cut the squad down. They want to ship players out. But Lewis Hall is a player they want to bring in. Now, someone I mentioned linked with us earlier, linked with a return to Chelsea, and as much as I would have loved to have had him back at Chelsea, we made a mistake selling him. I do think the type of money Newcastle wanted is too much. 60 million, Man United have said they're willing to pay, but Newcastle want him more. They've basically made him untouchable this window. So it looks like Man United might well walk away from this move and pursue Jed Spence instead, who Spurs seem quite willing to sell actually, which I find a bit strange, but seems like they are willing to sell, and it seems like Man United look like front runner to get Jed Spence at this moment. They also look like front runner to get Igor Thiago from Brentford, but the situation there is a bit unclear at the moment. That's in the very, very early stages. Do another update soon when we're looking at the potential deal that we could be looking at here and how realistic it is for Man United to really step up and pursue that move. I'm not sure at this moment what way that's gonna go. Of course, we've got Liverpool as well, who have been quiet this window. Munoz signed a lot earlier in the window. Since then, they've not really various links with players, but not really pursued anyone. Diamende looks more likely to go to Nottingham Forest, and things like that. I mean, Nottingham Forest, they look like they're making some quite big moves this window as well. But as for Liverpool, the one big name that has been mentioned is Bracola, but are Arsenal now looking at him as an alternative for Vinicius Junior? That could make things difficult for Liverpool if they want to pursue Bracola. I'm not sure Liverpool, they don't seem that keen on anyone, but I do think they could do one or two signings like you would think surely they'd want to get in to give Iriola a best chance at a title challenge. I'm not really sure why it's been so quiet from a Liverpool perspective. Chelsea, Man United, everyone else, it's just every day there's been different players linked here and there. So much happening. Liverpool's just been so quiet, and just no signings since that one very early in the window. But they've still got a few weeks left. I think at this point they'll be really hoping that they can get their act together, because at the moment not much to report really. The Bracola thing might be worth keeping an eye on though, but again, he's one that's been mentioned, linked with quite a lot of clubs, so we'll see how that develops in the coming weeks.